Actually, Allison is always a great speaker. She present in Power BI in a Definity conference, in most of the conferences that we have. She's one of the best that's actually coming and kind of share her knowledge with us. So thank you, please, Allison. It's actually, please start your presentation. Thanks so much.
Thanks. So I am here to talk to you guys about Power BI and Teams. And since I'm using Teams to talk to you guys, this is always a little bit tricky, and Teams has just presented the wrong thing. So I'm going to do that again. Share content. Share that window. Excellent. So what I've done is I have logged into Teams using Microsoft Edge. And so I'm logged into the Microsoft trial tenant that we create at ACE every couple of months to do our Power BI training. And I've got a couple of teams in here. And I wanted to know, maybe a show of hands, does anyone use Power BI from within Teams currently? And you can either use the raise hand feature in Teams if you know how to do that. So in Teams, there's the raise hand, or you can put your hand up, thumbs up. Quite a few of you. Excellent. Anybody want to speak up and say what they use it for? Anybody have anything they're keen
for us, I use it for two purposes. I have it for sort of internal reporting on how much we bill clients on a monthly basis. But we have a CRM that we put all our work through. So I use it on a monthly basis for showing. We do like a company-wide meeting at the end, in the middle of the month, so I can show the stats to everyone. But I also use it for teams from an appraisal point of view, so that on a daily basis they can go in and see what their own stats are, so that, and some of the formulas I put in make it calculate like a running total for the month, so they can see, great, my billability is at 80%, or I've converted 90% of my opportunities or whatever, so that it works as a self-appraisal tool as well.
Excellent. So you're using sharing within a team, sharing the reports that way, and through meetings by the sounds of it. Anybody doing anything differently within Teams aside from what Richard has talked about?
I think one of the main reasons I share it on Teams is it's easy for people to find it. There's still a bit of confusion. Sometimes you send out a link or going back and finding that email or that link. I just go, yeah, it's in the channel, go find it, and it's much more easier.
Exactly. So in Power BI, if you send a link, especially depending on how you're sharing your Power BI reports, there's a lot going on. And I just had a couple of students today that, Microsoft keep adding and removing things from this list over here in the Power BI.com area. And I had a couple of students today, because they were working on tiny laptops at home. This list went all the way to the bottom of their screen, right? So they couldn't see workspaces and expand and get to any of the content. So if you've shared a link with them, it's going to be really challenging for them to go and find what they need. And they've got all sorts of reports that have been shared with them. They've got all sorts of things in recent, and things are floating everywhere. Like, this is a mess, right? So making it ideally easier for other people, but also for you to be able to find like what you're looking for and what you're doing. I've purposefully switched to the Power BI tab just because I'm guessing that that's how most of us access Power BI service. Does anyone get to Power BI service any other way?
The usual way is app.powerbi.com.
App.powerbi.com, right? All right, so in Teams, we have this beautiful ability to customize, and unfortunately I can't do this in Edge, but if you guys have your Teams app open, you can actually take these little icons, and did you know you could reorder those? So you can drag and drop those in any order that you want and put them in the order of preference to what you use most frequently. So in my real world, Power BI is towards the top of that list because I'm in there so often. And I don't actually go to app.powerbi.com. I open Teams and it starts in Power BI. And I've done that by adding Power BI as an app to Microsoft Teams. So I've got Power BI here already. I'm going to get rid of it and unpin it and show you how I got that there. So in Microsoft Teams on the left-hand side, you'll all have the 3 dots here, and you can find an app. Any of the apps that you can use in Teams, you can add them to your own Microsoft Teams. So I'm searching for Power BI, click on that, and that adds Power BI to my Teams experience. Okay, so this hasn't done anything for anyone else. It hasn't made it any easier for anyone else to find reports, but it's put Power BI directly at my fingertips in Microsoft Teams. Win. Once you've done that, make sure you right-click and pin so that it stays there. And like I said, since you guys are in the actual Teams app, you can reorder those and drag and drop and put that Power BI icon wherever you want. And you'll be able to get directly to Power BI whenever you open Teams. So now I can get rid of this powerbi.com tab because I've got everything inside Teams. So that is kind of the first thing that I wanted to talk about, was just accessing Power BI within Teams for yourself. Cool. See, a couple of you have already got that figured out. It's kind of nice, isn't it? Not being in person. Since you're all on Teams, you can just kind of follow along and get things done. We can be productive while we're sitting and chatting. So has anyone used that before today? Or am I the only one?
Yes, I have
Yes?
attached my Teams.
Excellent. Anyone else? Couple of people?
Yeah, I've used as well.
Yeah, I
Good.
have been using quite frequently.
And do you guys still use the powerbi.com web browser, or do you now exclusively do everything through Teams?
I tend to keep through the website, but that's because we're doing it on different tenants things. So putting it into Teams for me isn't as relevant, but I acknowledge that it's a great way of doing it.
Yep. And I have to say, I also work on lots of different tenants, and Teams has gotten a little bit quicker at letting me log in and out of the different tenants. So it's not terrible for that either. But yeah, it generally has the full functionality that you've got on powerbi.com. I was just wondering if anybody's come across any limitations. David or Driven, you guys use it within Teams. Have you found any issues with it, or pretty happy? Yeah, works pretty well.
Pretty happy. I do like, though, if I just need to focus on Power BI and not within Teams, the fact of being able to pop it out is a good idea. Exactly,
yeah. And being able to go into other things in Teams in other areas can be handy. Okay, so the next thing that we're looking at is how to make the stuff within Power BI easier to find. So this has just done powerbi.com. It hasn't really organized any of your content for you any differently. So how many of you guys use apps, Power BI apps? How many of you know what Power BI apps are? I'm getting some looks like, do I use Power BI apps? What is app? It's one of those words that Microsoft use and overuse, right?
I've actually taken it back to one of our catch-ups, and I kind of got this blank look on everyone's face going, why do we need an app if you already have the report? So yeah, we haven't really started using it. Everyone's just stuck to the report.
Cool. So you didn't sell them on the app?
No, I haven't, but I've even been to a presentation recently where there was kind of a lot of emphasis on actually using the app rather than the actual product. Sorry, the actual report itself.
Okay, so when we talk about the word app, we've kind of got Teams, and Teams is an app. We've got Power BI, and Power BI is an app. And then we've got Power BI Workspaces. And within our Power BI Workspaces, we've got things called apps. Okay, so the few of you that, were bold enough to speak up and say, hey, this is why we're using Power BI within Teams, have said that you were doing it to make it easier to find some of the content. So there's a couple of ways that we organize the content within Power BI. One of them is within Workspaces. How many of you are using Workspaces? Yeah. So with Workspaces, we've got access. And so how are you sharing the reports with the audience, with your consumers? Are you just giving them access as viewers to the workspace, or are you sharing it ad hoc? Or
for mine, the majority of people are viewers, and then further down the line there's like raw level security and stuff that only lets them see their division of stuff or whatever. But generally, yes, through here, because it's the company-wide group, so everyone is naturally part of the intranet group. So everyone in the intranet is a viewer, and then I am an administrator and the boss is an admin or whatever else on top of that.
Right. So everyone is a viewer of the workspace, the entire workspace. Anyone doing anything differently? Or generally that's kind of, any questions on workspaces? I'm assuming some basic foundational understanding of workspaces. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a workspace for today, and I've got lots of content in here, and it's all over the place. It's all like disorganized. I've got dashboards intermixed with reports and data sets and all sorts of crazy stuff that a viewer can come in and see. All right. So every workspace gives us the ability to create an app. One workspace, one app. All right. And Praveen says, well, why do I need an app if I can just share the report? Well, one reason that we can need an app is because it will organize and structure your content within Power BI a little bit easier, without having to go into Teams and put that content in Teams itself. So I'm going to create an app, and I'm going to say organized Power BI awesome reports. You can upload a logo. I highly recommend that if you're using apps, you do and don't use your company logo, because if you've got one app, one workspace, chances are somebody in the management team might be part of a couple of apps, and they're going to want to be able to see if that's marketing or if that's finance or what that app is related to. So make that logo nice and easy to recognize. They can, pin that to their phone home screen or pin it to your computer. So upload a nice, easy logo. And then in the navigation, this is where we start to get nice and organized and rearranging our content. All right. So the first thing I can do is I can create a new section. So I can create a section for sporting results, because apparently, looking back at all of the non-confidential stuff I do, it all relates to sporting. So I've got a report in here that is the Olympic results. And note that because the way I imported that was Olympic results.pbix. That's pretty ugly. I could add whatever title I want. And this is what the consumer, the end user, is going to see when they open that report. So they're going to see that title. I can put that in the sporting results section. And so that's going to create a nice subheading and section for them, right? I've also got a dashboard. So I've got a dashboard for sports. I'm going to put that in the sporting results section. I want that to be at the top. So we're going to start with dashboard, high level information. What do we want them to see? And then we're going to go into the different reports. So we've got Olympic results. Like I said, I'm normally getting ready for free diving at this time of the day on a Wednesday. So I've done a little report on free diving. So I'm going to put that in the sporting section as well, sporting results. I might hide that one actually because, and we'll hide that one because I suspect that's actually going to be the dashboard. And then I've got that one as the dashboard. I don't want that, so I'm going to hide that. And that's going to be my report, so I'm going to put that in the sporting results. All right. And then I've got finance and AdventureWorks sales. So again, I can create another new section and we'll call this finance stuff. And so then I can put these, we'll hide that one. And I can put these into the finance section. Okay. Now you can create sections and links. So you could even create a link to a help page or you know, somewhere else on your intranet or your company, how to use Power BI. So you can have links inside of here as well. And so now I've got my stuff. I'll put that in there. And then the last step is permissions. Okay, so my view on how to use Power BI apps is that in the workspace, we give viewer access only to those first people who need to preview the content. And we share the app with everyone else. And what that does is it enables me to work in a workspace with a couple of other people who are also analysts or developers and working on Power BI. And we can, you know, work back and forth and like change small things about the content and the reporting and, you know, change how the slicer is set up or, you know, what content is on what page, and we can work and get that just right and working together, and we can see that in the workspace in real time. But until we're happy with it and everything's working, it won't be published to the entire organization until I publish this app or update this app. Okay, so that's the big reason for using apps in Power BI, is that you have a added layer of this, you know, development and then production environment just within the workspace without needing to have premium. Praveen, does that maybe give you a little bit more leverage for using apps?
Question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at workspaces, etc., but I try to create, for example, your pug, and I'm doing it through Teams, and I couldn't find, because you called it a new app, correct?
I created a new workspace.
Ah, okay. My apologies. Okay, yeah. So
an app does not exist without a workspace. One workspace, one app.
Okay, so I have previously created my workspace.
My workspace cannot have an app.
Ah.
Only other workspaces can have apps.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to publish this app just to show you kind of where you are. So in workspaces, right, you've got my workspace, no app in my workspace. My workspace is like OneDrive. You should just kind of have stuff in there that's for you to play around with.
Yeah.
In workspaces, you've got all the other workspaces.
Yeah.
create a workspace.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, thank you.
And call it whatever you want. If you can't get to this stage, then you need to talk to IT. All right, so not everybody can create a workspace. We can lock that down, right? So we can say only this group of people have access to create workspaces. All right, so I create a workspace. I've created it, called it Pug. So now when I go into workspaces, there's my Pug workspace. And I've got a big yellow button that used to say create app.
Mine still does.
Yours still does. Click on it. Mine says update app. Why?
Need some content.
One app per workspace. So once I've created an app in the workspace, that's it. You only get one.
Okay, thank you.
And you need some content. Yes, you can't create an app out of a brand new workspace. Praveen, you were saying.
Awesome, thank
This might be a good workaround because we don't have premium.
Yeah.
And sometimes the workspaces are getting very crowded with a lot of things that are got draft and yeah, I'm interested to see how kind of you can decouple that, and the app has everything. So the app has everything we want. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'll follow the.
No, go ahead. Ask your question so I can keep it in mind as I'm continuing.
So I was just trying to get this in my head correctly. So the workspace has everything, whereas the app has more of what you want the end viewer to look at. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Yeah. And see how you've got this include an app option here? If you turn those off, it won't even show up in your navigation when you're in the app, right? So some of those draft reports are, you know, you may still have them. You may be able to not need them if you use the workspace properly, right? Andrew, feel free to come off mute if you want to talk to that further.
I think I'm on a pro license, and we find those links really helpful to link back to SSRS reports that are part of the same solution to the Power BI reports in that app. So I'm
so
thankful
you're
those
talking
links.
about the new link option here.
Yes, that's right. So
Yeah.
we can just link back to a SSRS report address.
Awesome.
Which is really helpful.
Yeah, and just puts it all in one spot. So now that I've built my app, when you built the app, it had an option. Let me just update it. It has an option here to copy the link. That's probably the easiest way to share that with your team, right? So you could take that link and you could go into Teams, and I could just, if I'm being really lazy, I could just add that in a new conversation. I could say, check out the app, all right, and post that in here. Send it as an email, however you want to do it. If you want, you could also add it as a tab in Teams. Unfortunately, at this stage, Power BI does not support adding apps as tabs to Microsoft Teams. So in order to add an app to Microsoft Teams, I have to do it via a website. So I would say Power BI app, paste my URL into here, and that's going to embed my Power BI app inside the Teams app. Right? So the Power BI app gets rid of all that other clutter, and it just gives me the stuff that I said to be included in the order that I said to include it. All right, so here's a dashboard. We all know what happens when you click on something in a dashboard. Jumps you to the report, your end user gets totally lost and confused. But now that I'm in an app and I've included both of those in the app, all right, I can easily see, well, I started in the sports dashboard, click on that. Hey, now I'm over here in the March Madness historical data. We've got a couple of pages. This is the report, right? I can collapse. Like Andrew said, he's got the link for the SSRS, so you can have that in here as well, right? And when you add links, you can choose whether they open within this existing window or whether they open in a new tab. Making sense? Cool. So any questions or thoughts at this stage on apps?
Hi, Allison.
Yes.
I have one question. You know how we created an app? So when we share it, do all the users, they need the Power BI license?
They do. It's not a way to get around licensing.
Cool. No, just checking.
Yep. So the app still requires the Power BI licensing. So when you created the app, right? So we created the app and we gave the permissions at that last stage of the app. Whoever you put in there, you still need Power BI licensing, and it will still do all of your row level security and everything that you've got built into your data sets as well. All right. So anyone that's in permissions, so that's right now the entire organization, I've now shared all of the content that's in the app with the entire organization. They still need a license to be able to access it, but it's been shared with them. Other questions at this stage? No? Okay. So in team,
Allison,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to your pug. So
Yes.
that was your app, correct?
It's a workspace and an app. I kept the name the same for both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I was watching, when you had your navigate and you reorganize things.
Yep.
How did you bring all those in straight away?
I set it up beforehand. So I didn't create the workspace just now. I created it an hour ago.
Okay.
And
So
I pulled all these in earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
And the way I
Okay.
pulled them in, I did get data, and I just went to use local files, and I grabbed all of my demo files that I have and just put a few of them in there. And that's why I have these PBIX dashboards, because when you do it that way, it just creates a dashboard for that report, which is pretty ugly looking. So those are the ones that I didn't include in the app, but I could clean that up and get rid of them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Other questions at this stage on the app or workspaces or anything so far? Thanks, Julie. Okay, so now what I'm going to talk to is that difference between the development and the production that the app gives us and enables us to have. So in Microsoft Teams, when we're in a channel, we have the ability to add tabs to that channel. So I've got a sports fans team. It's public. Anyone in the company can join. And we've got a stats channel. I want to add my awesome Power BI sports related reports to this channel. So I'm going to click the plus sign, add a tab, chose Power BI. And now I have the option to look under workspaces, to look under apps, or to look under shared with me, which I don't have anything because Mickey Mouse doesn't build lots of reports. So which one do I want to add to this public team that anybody in the organization can join? Do I want to add the stuff from workspaces and put my freediving report in from workspaces, or do I want to put it in from apps? Or does it matter?
App, I think.
App, we think. Why do we think?
Because that's what we want the team to view.
Yeah, so the permissions still apply, right? So in the workspace, I didn't add the entire organization to the workspace. I added their permissions to the app. That's number one. Number two, the app is the final published version. That's what I want them to be able to see. So I need to choose the report, and we'll go with the Olympic results because that's fresh and new and relevant. I need to choose that from the apps, not from the workspaces. Okay. So this will be, I'm going to call this final Olympic results. And I'm going to post that and save. And Jana will get to your question soon. So I've added the final Olympic results report from the app as a tab in Power BI. So that makes it really easy for them to find. Like Praveen said, go to the channel and find it. I'm not sending you the link anymore. All right. If I do that again, add a tab, Power BI, this time I'm going to choose the Olympic results from the workspace. Same workspace, the Pug workspace, Olympic results, but I'm adding it from the workspace. This is like my work in progress. Okay, so it's not a great idea to add this to the sports fans team that everyone in the company has access to, because they don't all have access to the work in progress version of the report. And so if they click on this, they're going to see, sorry, you don't have access to this content. So I would put this in a different team where me and a couple of other people are working together on this report. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, when we're working on this report, we can go back into the Power BI workspace. And so I'll go into my workspace here. And this is probably one reason to have Power BI as a separate tab, so I don't have to keep going back and forth. I'll go to Olympic results. And I'm going to edit this. And we'll turn this visualization here into a column visualization, just to make it obvious that there's a change. All right. So I will go back to reading view, save my changes. I've done that in the Pug workspace. Can the entire organization see that in the app? Nope. So if I go back to Teams, I've got those two tabs. Previously, they were identical because my workspace version was the same as my published version, but now they're going to be different. Okay, so in the stats channel, in the final Olympic results, we're still looking at it as a bar chart. But in the work in progress Olympic results, we're going to see it as a column chart. Now, this helps a little bit to get around some of the premium and, some of that production and development stuff. It doesn't work when you're doing a lot of development on the data set itself and adding measures and doing changes in the relationships. Measures sometimes are okay, but if you change the data model drastically and you don't publish the app, they won't have access to anything. So it's not a full method for not needing premium, but it definitely helps to give a little bit of that workspace collaboration and keep that separate from published. Question?
Hey, Alison, there's one question.
Yes.
In the chat, Julie is asking. Julie, not Julie, Jane. Jane is asking. I think you
asked
should.
a question about the link. Yeah, I will get to that one.
Yeah.
And Julie, I think I answered your question. It only shows to those who have permission. Yeah. Okay. So how do we get the final Olympic results to show the column chart instead of the bar chart?
Publish. I was off mute. Publish.
Publish. So I need to go back to my Pug workspace, and where's the publish button gonna be? So we need to go into the Pug workspace. And how do I publish? Oh, it's behaving. It's giving a real good demonstration today.
I was thinking about running through limitations on characters. Yeah.
So I should have a button up here. I'm gonna cross fingers. Let's hope the refresh doesn't totally go haywire. That will say update app. So it won't say publish, but it will say update app. And having that button missing is not uncommon. It happens to me frequently. All right, it's lost. We might have to use, there it is, it's back. Refresh, 3rd time's the charm. So update app. So I have to make sure that everything that is included in the app, I'm happy for that to be updated. The navigation, it remembers my last settings. So if one of these is now out of draft mode and we want to publish that, then we need to unhide that. This is a really ugly dashboard, but I can unhide it just for fun. Jane wanted to know about adding a link, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new link, and Power BI loves secure links. So we'll do www.ace.co.nz. All right. When you add a link to an app, you have the option to open it in the current tab. So i.e. totally replace my Power BI Teams tab that I'm working in, or to open it in a new tab. So add a new tab. So I'll do, this will be new tab link. Or I can add a link to open it in the content area. And was it Andrew that's using this with SSRS? Which option do you guys use?
We use the open a new tab.
Perfect, new tab. So one of the limitations with content area I'm going to show you is it gives you like a security warning, right? So I've got new tab link, content area link. We'll do the same one because I don't want to get too Inception-like on you. And then I need to update the app. So I'm doing a couple of things now, right? I'm adding links and I'm updating it so that the sporting results report, with the Olympic results, we're going to change the bars to columns, right? So update the app, will add 2 new links, and it's going to update that report. So if I now go and find that app, we can see both of those changes. I've added it to the Teams channel as a website, so I could find it in here. All right. But you can see how successful that was. All right. So how do we find apps? When you're in, and I'm going to go back to this one, so I've not got too much going on. When you're in Power BI, remember I told you could send that link, so it's just the one link that they have to bookmark or remember. They can save it to their home screen on their phone, and they'll find it here under apps. Now, I got a lot of apps. I've already got that one because I've already been viewing it in Microsoft Teams. But if I delete that app, sounds scary. But deleting the app, your end users, your consumers, they can just delete apps if they don't want to look at them anymore, right? So you can pick which apps you use frequently and make them really easy to find. So the first time they need to go and get an app, either send them the link, it'll show up automatically like it did for me, or if you, for whatever reason, don't want to send them the link, or they haven't found the link in Teams, they can come into here, they can go to apps, and they can get more apps. If you've given them permission, they will see the app in the list. And again, upload the icon, make it really easy to find. Right? So I'm going to get it now. That's going to open the app and add it to my apps list for me. Okay. There's the ugly dashboard that's automatically created whenever you get data into Power BI. Here's my new tab link. So when I click this, it opens a whole new tab, takes me to my ACE website. Here's my content area link. So it stays within the app, which is kind of pretty cool. It does give this security warning. Right? But you can still go through here, you can still browse, I can still search for Power BI. Right. So it's still a fully functioning link. Right, so those are your two options for links. And I could have nested those under the headings as well if I'd wanted. Jane, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so the second thing yep, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Does that mean you can also add a link to another app? Or to
You can. I couldn't get it working in the last class that I was teaching on this tenant environment, but I've done it before in the real world. So you can add links to other reports. You just need to be really careful and make sure the permissions are set up properly. And again, if you're doing it within the content area, it'll have that warning. So it's just an education thing that says, you know, this is an internal report, but we're just making it easier for you to open within the same app. But it won't overcome permissions. So if you add a link to another app, you have to make sure that everyone that's part of the PUG app also has permission to whatever app you've linked to or whatever report you've linked to.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so the second thing that we did with that app update is we updated the Olympic results to be a column chart instead of a bar chart. And so that has updated in the app, which means that in Teams, if all you're sharing is that final Olympic results report, that has also updated as well, right? So even if you're not sharing the link to the app, having the app just gives you one more, yes, it's like one more publish you have to do, but it gives you that development, collaboration, testing, you know, before publishing it to the entire wider audience. Any thoughts or questions so far? Who's the one from Melbourne? Praveen. Oh, good. I feel like I kind of know you too. So you'll notice I'm American, so my report has, you know, US and New Zealand results very proudly displayed. And of course, we have to do per capita being New Zealanders. So I have to take the opportunity to brag just a little bit that New Zealand had a fantastic Olympics this year, and we get gold, you get silver.
Can I just say that sharing that links the way that you showed it, that must be absolutely awesome for your role as a trainer, that when you are in teams or you're in a team instructional environment, to have everything all pre-organized must be amazing.
Yeah. It's fun. You'll notice like I've got my course evals and everything. It's all in Teams. I it's easy. Everybody's logged into Teams. I can share it with them and done. If you come on a course with me, though, you have to take on a persona. You have to be Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or Scrooge or Captain Hook or one of my Disney character friends.
Hey, can I ask one question, please?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Fiona. Hi, guys. So I'm wondering, like, if as a Power BI administrator who wants to just share the report or for different teams within the organization, and do they have to be added into the team member in Teams first, and to be able to, for example, add those apps? I mean, as a tab in the group in Teams.
Yes. So
There's only one, right?
You can only do that from, you have to be part of the team to be able to add stuff to the team.
I don't have to be the owner of the.
You don't have to be the owner of the team. So in Teams, there's certain things that team members can do and cannot do. And actually, I didn't want to be a know-it-all, but there was just somebody that posted in the MVP team saying, can you give us permission to edit our messages in Microsoft Teams? So it's possible to edit messages and delete messages in Teams, but you have to be an internal member of the organization to be able to do that. Guests are not able to delete or edit the messages that they post in Teams. So the person who asked that is never going to get their request granted until the Teams developers make a change, which might happen. But within Teams, it is possible that the team owner has unticked the ability for members to create, update, and remove tabs. And if they have done that, then you won't be able to add a new tab for the Power BI app unless you're an owner. If they haven't, then anyone who's a member of the team can add new tabs. Does that make sense, Fiona?
Yep, cool. Thanks.
If you edit any of those text chats that you just mentioned, what about your original log that you've got that's in the background for searching, etc.? Would that delete it there?
If you edit any of these, so if I come into here and I edit this message, check out the awesome app. It will mark it as edited. If you delete it, it deletes it from like the activity, but it doesn't fully delete it from everywhere. So if I
Good.
If I delete that, depends on how quick people are in Teams. So like somebody posted a message the other day and then quickly deleted it. I still saw it on my push notification on the phone. So I could read the first couple lines of that message as much as the push notification gave me, even after they had deleted the message. So some of the stuff doesn't fully get cleared, but when you go into activity, it's gone, it's cleared from there. And it's cleared from here as well. And eventually, that goes away. So like when you go into activity, it says this message has been deleted. You can't see it anymore. So it's just, if you're really active in Teams using the push notifications, people might still see a message that you've deleted. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just for reporting purposes, just heaven forbid you have.
Oh, we lost you.
Oh, sorry.
Hit the space bar.
Yeah. So that was great if you can delete a message if somebody by accident happens to do something inappropriate or says the wrong thing, and you can delete it. But I'm thinking, from a reporting purpose for later, the fact the actual log that's on the server or something, I thought those text messages can never be actually wholly deleted.
Yeah, I'm not Teams admin expert, so I'm not sure about the admin log side of things. So if anybody
It depends on your data loss protection and things like that, and what they put in the backend.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Julie.
I will ask that question when I do the Teams training that you guys have got coming up.
Look, good. All right. Any other questions? Praveen, did your question get answered?
No, I think I am. I'm going to try it on my end, but every time you make a change in the workspace, it needs to be published to then be reflected in the app. Okay.
Correct. Yep. So any change you make, like the column to the bar chart, it needs to be republished to reflect.
So just to clarify, you mean layout changes as opposed to data changes pushing in? So if you change the data set, you would have to push it in again and things.
Yeah, it depends on, yeah, if you change the data set, depends. If you change the data set, you have to assume you have to push it to the app. So if I change the data set, so when you change the data set, you publish to the workspace, you need to then go in and update the app as well right away. Otherwise, chances are the people who have access to the app won't see anything, because when you change the data set, the app now needs to know what changes you've made, what row level security, what permissions, anything, relationships, whatever is going on in there. The app needs those changes published right away. Otherwise, the people who only have access to the app, or people who are accessing through the app, will just see, sorry, can't see this content. It doesn't happen with every data set change, but just assume that you possibly have to republish the app if you make a data set change. Other questions or thoughts? Okay. So the last couple of things that I wanted to cover, I've already got a couple of these in here. So which message do you prefer?
The card.
One or two? The card, right? So this card was generated by literally just being in powerbi.com and going and finding the report or dashboard or whatever I want to share. So if I come into here and come into freediving, I've got two options. I have chat in Teams, or I can copy this link and put it into Teams. If you click chat in Teams, it'll open up Teams. It'll say, okay, where do you want to put this? So I'm going to put it in the stats group and then say something about this. This free diving stuff is scary. And that's what it looks like. Really ugly. All right. So I share that from within Power BI, puts it straight into Teams for me. All right. If I copy the link and I go into Power BI and do a new conversation, I can paste the link. It's already a lot prettier. Wait patiently, like you have to do with most Microsoft things, and I get this beautiful little card. Okay, and then again, we could type whatever we want in here, cool stuff, and send it off. All right. So I don't know why the chat in Teams doesn't do so up to you if it's worth the extra step of copy and then just go into Teams, which you probably already have open, or if you like the chat in Teams feature, it does just let you find Teams. If you don't happen to have Teams open, that can be a handy option for you. but it looks scary and ugly, and nobody's really gonna want to open that. Whereas here, they're like, oh yeah, that's the free diving. It's in this workspace. I can open that, and it's just gonna open it for you. And because I've got Power BI added to Teams, it opens it within Teams. How cool is that?
Very cool. So I'm guessing then that in the meeting chat, that wouldn't show up as the shortened version because the meeting chat is more text-based versus within Teams, it's HTML-based?
There are a few limitations with the preview in the meeting chat as well as in the private chat area here. So it does behave a little bit differently in those than it does in the Teams chat.
Like if you were to paste that into the meeting chat right now, obviously that would show up the long version, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so if I paste that in the meeting chat right now, it shows up the short version, but it won't do the card.
Oh, it doesn't do the card. Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's still okay, though.
Yeah, it just doesn't do the fancy card, and you probably won't be able to open it because you don't have access, but
unless, of course, if you happen to use the icons at the same time when you post it. See how I put those two icons here?
I suppose.
Well, I'm just saying, if you had the icons in your emojis, then you'll be able to actually do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
And Shanamar, I believe Chrome does a bit of the URL formatting as well, because I normally use Chrome for a few things, and it formats the URL, gives me the short link and all of my Outlook messages, but I might be wrong on that.
What I did, you can change this behavior of Edge because it was really annoying for people who are used to send just the URLs, right? Suddenly it will just show you the name of the website, and that was so crazy. But for that, you need to change that somewhere in the Edge settings. Honestly, I don't know if Chrome started doing the same or what's the latest, but this is the annoyance of those Teams links. They were always as ugly as hell, and Microsoft never really shortened them.
And you've also
Feral,
mentioned
I think is the word, feral.
The Control-K shortcut, which lets you format the title and URL, and you can also click this A symbol here, which I guess since I'm teaching Teams and Power BI, I should do the Teams teaching justice. You wouldn't send an email without a subject, so don't post most of your Teams messages without subjects. So use the magic pencil, put a subject on here. This will be Power BI report, new, updated, or something. I'm not good at teaching and typing and talking at the same time, blah, blah, blah stuff, right? But it looks a lot better. It's a lot easier for me to scroll through and find that than it is to like any of this gibberish and jargon, right? So I did a nice job on that one. Olympic results, medal standings. That stands out. We can see what we're talking about. I could reply to that and I could say, awesome, NZ are beating Oz per capita. We'll rub it in the Praveen. Right, and so that just, keeps everything together, makes it really easy to find what's going on, and so use the magic pencil or use the keyboard shortcut for it. Cool. Any other thoughts, questions? Okay. The last, yeah, Julie, pay attention to the chat, guys. Julie's putting some good Teams best practice tips in there. At mentioned, where necessary, don't post in the general channel unless you mean it and you want everybody to know about it. And if the general channel is the only channel you have, talk to your team owner about getting a channel for chit chat and just have fun stuff that people can just do the water cooler chat about. And you can unsubscribe to all those notifications and declutter your life. Okay, 2 more things. I think I said that last time, but subscribe. How many people subscribe to Power BI stuff? No? So you can subscribe to Power BI reports, and if you have Power BI Premium, you can subscribe other users to a PDF of the Power BI report. So that's pretty cool and pretty handy. And you saw by using that card link, as cool as the Santa Claus emojis are, I love that you just have those handy, David. They still don't give you that subscribe button, whereas that link preview did. So I could just click subscribe. And so now I can get an email in my inbox every day, which maybe 2 weeks ago would have been handy on the Olympics report. Not so much now anymore. I don't have anything that's relevant and topical until the Paralympics starts up again in about a week. All right. So you can subscribe, get emails in your inbox, and you can subscribe other people to that as long as they have access. All right. Well, even if they don't have access, they can still get a preview image. So you can send them a nice JPEG of whatever the report looks like on that day with subscriptions. The last thing are comments. And I should probably go to a better report for this, but that's all right. How many of you use commenting in Power BI? I'm only seeing like one head nod, no hands, and lots of no's. So the comments, now that you know about the apps and that extra like layer of publishing on the apps, the comments can be really handy for the collaborating in workspaces, because what I can do with the comments is I could write a comment for the entire report and say, this is looking good or something, but then I can do comments on specific visualizations as well. And so I could put a comment on this visual here, and I can say, can we make the diver bigger? All right. Out of context, that might be really challenging for me to know what's being talked about and what's going on. But with the comments, I can now easily see where they're talking about. So we can just go comment. I click on this, and it highlights my attention. If this was a multi-page report, it would take me to that page. Again, use Julie's advice and @mention people in here, right? So you can say @whoever built this beautiful charticulator, not so beautiful, I'm not great at charticulator. This was my first attempt, I'm improving, but say @Allison, this is beautiful, you built it, but can you make it better? Right? So the comments can be attached to the report, but also to the visuals themselves, and just make it really easy for you to see what people are talking about, what's going on. And that's all I've got.
It's great. Any other questions from Allison? Please, just you can unmute yourself and ask question.
I just have to say how great the content and the presentation and everything, especially for us in Europe, because we have it for breakfast and then we can start with our working day because it's only 8:40 in the morning. So thanks a lot.
Where are you located?
Awesome to hear. So yeah, that is great. Actually, I learned a lot. That's kind of doing that, and that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing all of these things. So any other questions from Allison? Any things? So yeah, hope we can have you for the next one. Hope we can have it in person and kind of hybrid, so people from other countries also can enjoy the content. So any other question? Do you have any resources that you want to share about it? Do you have any blog posts on that, or that
I
you
do,
can add?
yeah. So I'm Excel with Allison. So excelwithallison.com or excelwithallison.blogspot.com. So like I said, I've been really active over the last couple of weeks doing lots of stuff on the Olympics. So all of my reports and how I've built them, and you can follow me on Twitter. It's at ExcelAllison. I'm not great at Twitter, so I'll probably be like non-communicative for the next couple of months until Dfinity, and then I might say a few things again. But I did a little bit of fun with Power Automate and automatically posting on Twitter every time my favorite teams earned a new medal. So that was fun. So I can post that in the chat too, so you guys can get to
Oh
it.
yeah, thank you. That's great. So thank you. That's great.
Thanks, Shami.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. So we will kind of post the recording to the meeting. So because it's good to back to see when we come to that, just see, hey, I want to double check what has been done, and so we will share it. Indira, David, do you have something?
Oh no, I was and notice Dfinity. Remember, people.
I'll be there. I'll be talking about accessible Power BI and accessibility in Power BI. There's some really cool features that it has there.
Yeah, I'll be there and talking about Python.
Well, can I just say on behalf of everybody else, if they all want to turn on the mic now and start clapping.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Also,
Allison. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just put the Power BI Summit. I know some of you already there. We will have Power BI Summits again this year, actually very soon on March. So just check the link. They are really, just everyone of our Power BI is there. So it's good to be about kind of joining that community. Thanks so much, Allison. It was great. And it's a shame that I couldn't see you in person, but hope so soon we can meet each other. And thanks so much for great presentation. And thanks to everyone coming from different cities and joining us. That's it's really good, kind of the vibe in this lockdown that we can gather. Thank you.
Thanks, Leila. Thanks for having me. Enjoy lockdown, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Thank you.
good night,
Thank
good
you.
evening, good morning, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.